Hey, what up guys, it's Tal. Okay, so I did the carnivore diet for a month. I'm gonna share with you my results, good, bad, and maybe give you some tips if you wanna try this diet out yourself. So I went from this to this in 1 month. My starting weight was 182 pounds and I finished at 175. My bench was 305 for 2 reps starting out and I finished exactly the same. There's a little bit of a caveat to this, which I'll get into later in the video. So first of all, carnivore diet, what is that? Well, it's literally nothing but animal products. So meat, fish, eggs, cheese. So basically a high fat, high protein diet with extremely low amounts of carbs and sugar. I was very diligent about this. One mistake that people make is not paying close enough attention to detail. For instance, if you eat a plate full of delicious barbecue ribs, that's not carnivore. The ribs might be, but the sauce is probably chock full of sugar and carbs and all that stuff. Same with that delicious T-bone that you just slathered in steak sauce. So be aware of this, and even notice that most seasoning salts have sugar in them. Sugar is everywhere in this world, so look out. What to expect right out of the gate if you're starting on this diet. The first week, for me, the first couple days were like business as usual. Nothing really out of the ordinary or too different. About day 3 or 4, that started to change, and some interesting stuff started happening. I've done keto before, and it was pretty comparable to that. I got what they call the keto flu. So when you deprive your body of carbs or sugar for long enough, it's forced to switch over and find a different power source for its energy. It's out of carbs, so then your body looks to convert fat in your diet through a process called ketosis, where ketones are produced in the liver to break down fats. I should note I am not an expert in this, but to my basic understanding, you could think of this as your body utilizing fats as a fuel source instead of carbs. Again, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist, dietitian. I'm just a mid-30s dad trying to have abs. So know that. Anyways, the keto flu hit me about day 3 or 4. It was literally like having flu symptoms. The headache for me was probably most notable. I had trouble concentrating, irritability, and I felt sluggish all around. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the keto shit. I think this is because of the complete lack of fiber. I don't know, I'm not a doctor.
This is a house of learned doctors.
But I'll tell you, it's bad. It's heinous. It does pass, your body adjusts to the diet. It was about 2 days for me to get through that part. So after the first week, I made it through the keto flu as my body, kind of started to adapt to the madness. A few notable things that occurred. First would be my energy levels. So I wouldn't say that I had like added energy per se, just that I had really consistent energy levels throughout the day. There weren't fluctuations. I didn't feel like I needed a cup of coffee or some kind of a boost after lunch, for instance. Just nice, steady energy all day long. My focus and attention seemed better, especially for tasks that required like difficult problem solving. Overall, I just didn't feel as fuzzy, especially after meals. For this reason, even when I'm not doing carnivore or keto, I try to minimize or completely eliminate grains, as that seems to be the worst when it comes to feeling fuzzy after meals and like energy crashes and overall inflammation in my body. Speaking of inflammation and joint pain, some interesting stuff happened there. During week 2, I did a really difficult workout. It was a ladder workout with my brother-in-law, and we switched in between sets of weighted lunges. So we had like a 50-pound Bulgarian bag on our back, and we're doing lunges with it. While one person was doing that, the other person was doing the soupless spitball, doing slams, followed by Spartan bar push-ups, and we're switching back and forth. During this, my shoulder ached so bad I could like barely make it through. It's fucking brutal. I've had shoulder injuries in the past, and I've always had like some discomfort, especially in my left shoulder. That's normal for me. But this was painful to the point where my muscles could have continued and I could have gotten like more reps, but I had to stop because the joint pain was so bad. This was surprising, as everyone says that joint pain is usually significantly reduced when eliminating carbs, probably because of the reduced overall inflammation in the body. That's why some people with like autoimmune disorders or diseases swear by this diet. So I did not expect that. It didn't last, and in fact, in like a couple days, my joints did start feeling better, and then like even better than like baseline normal for me. Which brings me to another thing to look out for when doing carnivore, and I think this was the actual culprit looking back: dehydration. Carbs are what hold on to your body's water and sodium, and when you eliminate them, you're gonna be more prone to getting dehydrated, especially in the first little bit as your body kind of transitions and adjusts. I don't know all the science, just that it's a thing. I would recommend drinking more water than usual, at least for the first like 2 weeks. Also, I started taking a salt hydration pack. That really helped. I did that every day. Just check to make sure that it doesn't have any added sugar in it. As far as my strength results in the gym, so I went from 182 pounds to 175, so loss of 7 pounds, and none of my lifts decreased. The caveat to this is that I got really sick during week 3. There was a nasty cold that like burned through my whole family, and I ended up getting it. I didn't work out hardly at all that whole week, or if I did, it was like significantly decreased as far as the intensity goes. So down 7 pounds, out sick a week, and none of my lifts went down. I'd call that a win. Who knows, if I was healthy the whole time, maybe I could have even made some gains. But just the sheer fact that I lost weight and maintained strength is pretty incredible to me. The only thing I noticed too, and I'm not sure if the cold had something to do with this, but I didn't feel like I had the same zip when I was doing cardio. By the end of the last week, this seemed to be getting better. It's hard for me to say for sure if it was carb related or cold related or a little bit of both. I just didn't feel quite the same as I do when I have like, an apple or a handful of berries before intense cardio. So I don't know, maybe with more time that would change. I can't say, but that's one thing that I'd maybe put in the negative pile. The other thing is I feel like without the water retention, my muscles look a little bit smaller. Just purely aesthetic. It doesn't really matter per se, but come on, we all want to look as jacked as possible. So, it is what it is there. The upside to that is that I feel like my face kind of looked better as it wasn't like quite as puffy. Also my skin I feel like looked better than usual. Now if there was a way to only keep that water retention just in my muscles, that would be great. That's probably where illicit drugs come in, but I'm not into that yet. Side note on water retention in the muscles, I did take more creatine every day, so I bumped up to like 7 grams to try and mitigate against like losing too much water. Food cravings, here was my experience. So typically for me, I don't eat until at least like 1 p.m. It's usually between 1 and 2 that I'll have my first meal of the day. Before that, I have nothing but black coffee or coffee with a 0 sugar creamer in it. So I'm used to going a while through the day without food. On carnivore, my overall appetite decreased. It was easier to push to like 1 or 2 o'clock before my first meal. I do this because I like intermittent fasting. It seems to work well for me. And I try to only eat within like an 8-hour window. Nights were the hardest for me as far as carb cravings, but this is like typical of me. I don't know why, but in general, it's always like right before I go to bed that I get major food cravings. This didn't go away with carnivore, and if anything, I'd say it was a little bit harder. The reason is that at night, for whatever reason, that's when I like crave carbs the most. It's weird. I don't have a crazy appetite through the day. I can push through till lunch just fine. Then I'm satisfied till dinner. When bedtime rolls around, though, I get the hunger.
We got the hunger.
The hunger?
Mm-hmm. My carb cravings at night never went away, and for whatever reason, the one thing that sounded the best or most satisfying was scrambled eggs. Meat didn't sound great, but eggs kind of did the trick. I might have eaten more calories definitely at night than usual. Because I'd eat like 4 or 5 eggs before bed instead of a smaller calorie snack that I'd usually have that has a little bit of carbs or sugar in it. But the added calories didn't seem to make a difference because I lost 7 pounds, so I don't know. On that topic, I would note that I intentionally tried to up my calories for the first 2 weeks. So instead of sticking right around 2,000, which is about perfect for me, I bumped it up to like 2,300, even 2,500 on some days. I did this because I didn't want to lose muscle or too much weight too quickly. Yeah, if you really want to lose weight, this or keto is definitely the diet for you. I was in a calorie excess and still dropped pounds. If my goal was to only lose weight, this would definitely be the way. I'm still waiting on my blood work results, and as soon as I have that, I'll do another video on it. So overall, interesting deal. I'd say it was pretty comparable to keto, only a little more restrictive. There's a lot less that you can eat just on the carnivore, but as far as constant energy through the day, I would definitely recommend it. Losing weight, I definitely recommend it. And yeah, that's it for now. Until next time.